Today we're going to be rebuilding the steering box on a 1991 model Mahindra 450 tractor. We will be using parts from Rubicon International Incorporated out of Austin, Texas. Rubicon has been very helpful in obtaining the parts needed to do the rebuild. Before I decided to make this video, I had already taken the box apart. Therefore, when I open it up, it will already have been cleaned up of all the old oil that was in there. I did put the rest of the parts back in to show that what to expect when you open yours up. Start by removing the 4 bolts on the top of the column. Lift the column off and set it aside. You will notice some shims when you remove the column. These shims set the load on the upper and lower bearings when assembled. There were 12 shims of varying thicknesses under my column. Yours may be different. Next, remove the bolts on the rocker shaft side cover and then the cover. You may have to use a tool to separate the cover from the box as there is a gasket between them. Remove the rocker shaft and the roller spiracle, which is the little metal disc with the slot cut into the back of it. Set them aside for now. You will most likely find a bunch of ball bearings and the nylon ball holders in the bottom of the case. None of these parts will be reused. You will be reusing the ball carrier if it is in good condition. Also, if your case is cracked in any way, you may as well buy a whole new steering box from Rubicon International because the parts will cost as much as a new box. There are 3 brass bushings that may have to be changed, 2 in the main case and 1 in the side cover. Mine had no wear whatsoever, so I did not change them. Using a socket of the appropriate size, knock out the top race from the case. Removing the bottom race is not quite so simple. After an hour of trying, eventually giving up, I brought the case to my mechanic who has the correct tool to remove the bottom race. It took him a few minutes to remove it. I think it's called a bottom bearing puller. Remove the top race of the top and bottom bearings from the steering shaft. Removing the bottom race will allow the ball carrier to be removed from the shaft. The bearings in the case are 3-piece bearings consisting of a top race, a bottom race, and the ball bearings which are held in place by a nylon holder. This is both for the top and bottom bearings. Installing the balls is not that bad. Put a little grease on the inside of the ball carrier to hold the new ball bearings in place. There are a total of 27 balls in the rebuild kit from Rubicon. Count the balls as you install them, as they are all needed for this rebuild to be successful. When installing the ball bearings, be sure to keep them between the two ends of the ball transfer tube, even though the ball holder is threaded the entire length. If this is not done, they will fall out when the shaft is turned. This will make more sense when you get to see it for yourself. Thread the shaft into the tube, being careful that the balls do not fall out. Take your time and they will go into the grooves very easily. Using a bearing setter or socket of the appropriate size, seat the new lower bearing race into the bottom of the case. Next, insert the shaft with the ball carrier installed onto it through the box, entering the side opening. Place a nylon ball holder with the ball bearings under the shaft on top of the bottom race. Please note that there is a proper direction of both the top and bottom nylon ball holders. If you are replacing the nylon bushing in the top of the column, now is the time to do it. Be careful not to lose the miniature roll pin when you remove it. I want to mention that although I did not film it, I did do a test fit to see how many shims I'd be needing with the new bearings. It was considerably less than the 12 that I had removed originally. Apply gasket sealer onto the mating surfaces of all gaskets and shims as you assemble the top column. Ensure that the bearings are correctly lined up before tightening the bolts, because the shaft goes in on an angle. Gravity tends to pull the nylon ball holders off the bottom side while installing the column. Next, install a roller spherical onto the ball carrier, and then place the rocker shaft into the case. If you lay the column on the bench, the roller spherical will stay in place while installing the rocker shaft. Install the side gasket and cover with gasket sealer. Install the rocker shaft adjusting screw into the case. Note that the ball carrier must be in the center of travel when adjusting the rocker shaft screw, or it will bind when it gets to the end of the travel area. To make sure that the ball carrier is in the center of travel, count the number of revolutions of the steering wheel it takes to travel from extreme left to extreme right. The center is half of that number of turns. Tighten the rocker shaft bolt until it just touches the rocker shaft. This should remove all of the back and forth play of the shaft. Tighten the nut on the bolt to hold this position. Now it's time to install the new oil seal onto the rocker shaft. Although I didn't do it myself, it is best to use an appropriate size socket or piece of plastic pipe to install the seal. Install the felt dust cover onto the rocker shaft. Ensure that the steering wheel turns freely, and then fill the case with gear oil until it comes out of the fill hole. Add a little red paint, but cover the splines on the rocker shaft and enjoy your new, easier steering.